Howdy ho, boys and girls, and welcome to a World of Tanks tutorial. Alright, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about World of Tanks and how it works, what makes it awesome, and then we'll have some gameplay with commentary on top. Pretty exciting. Alright, so first order of business here, so let's just take a quick look at our crew. This is a pretty newly purchased tank. It's pretty much been upgraded except for that little boy right there. So basically what this research button does is it lets you unlock the parts. When you start, the tank has only these parts shown up here, and as you can see, the arrows branch out to all the parts that you can unlock. Now, parts have a numerical value next to them. As you see, to unlock this tank, it would cost me 3,860 experience points, which is this silver stuff. Yeah? Experience points are unique to the tank, but some of them will always be converted into what's called free experience. Free experience can be used on any tank. So as you see, I have 1136. Now let's go over to, I don't know, let's see this tank. And as you see, I have 1136 free experience that I can spend on this tank, in addition to the 8,000 some odd experience that I have that is unique to this tank. Now, free experience is considered more valuable than normal. So if I were to unlock this radio right now, I would be using only the tank's experience because I have enough of it to cover that. The game's pretty smart, and you know, it tries to avoid having you use your free experience on things. And when, obviously, as you saw, things get a nice green border lit up around them when you can unlock them. And then sometimes things get a little complicated. Like, for example, here. This tank has been, as you see, it's got a little golden tank in the bottom. That means it's become quote-unquote elite. And what this means is that I've unlocked every single module for this tank, but I can still choose to play. As you can see, there's a little checkbox that appears here in lieu of the free experience. And this checkbox allows you to accelerate crew training, which means that this tank will not be getting any tank-specific experience. It will not be generating any free experience, but instead, all of it will go towards the training of my crew. And as you can see, they're at 83%, or the commander is. The other guys are actually at 91% proficiency. Now, how does this make sense? Well, Sergeant Flexman over here actually boosts the percentages of every single crew member. So even though they only display their percentage up to 100, there is an effective percent that goes up over 110 in reality. So yeah, that's basically how the crew training works. And once you get a crewman to 100, you can actually see, open personal file. You can also do that by right-clicking. And as you can see, you can have multiple personnel files and toggle between them. It's just like your computer interface. And you know, crew members can be transferred from tank to tank and such. But once you get them to 100%, you can choose a skill, either repairs, firefighting, or camouflage, and then they will train in that. They can have up to 3 skills, but just keep in mind that every single skill takes a certain amount of time to train. And as you can see, this crew member has a pretty good average experience per battle, you know, and the qualifications are only available once he reaches 100%, so he's not quite there. And now let's go over very quickly the crew roles. Yeah, alright, so anyways, commander, as I said, his job is to boost your crew. The gunner, he is the one who controls how fast your aiming reticle gets smaller. So as you notice over here on the right, we have a bunch of stats, yes? And some of these stats are actually affected by your crew member, but not all of them. We can actually go over here, and if we view characteristics, wait, no, that's the wrong way to do it. We want to view characteristics on this, yeah. You just right-click the gun to bring up this menu here. and as you can see, it has a 2-second aiming time. Well, that 2-second aiming time actually assumes that you have your crew maxed. So that means you have a 100% commander with a 100% gunner, and on top of that, it also assumes that you have chocolate, which can actually be right, consumables. Chocolate. Case of cola. There we go. Used to be called chocolate, my bad. But what this does is it gives plus 10% to all of your crew skills. So yeah, that basically boosts your crew even further. And all the stats that are being shown anywhere over here, or specifically the gun stats, are the ones that are the most affected. The aiming time gets affected. Your tank's acceleration gets affected, obviously. The view distance, kind of stays the same, in all honesty. That doesn't get changed. What the driver does is he doesn't increase your max speed. He increases how fast you get there. So it's like he becomes better at doing gear changes. The radio operator becomes better at doing long-range communication, so radio range actually changes. And finally, the loader does the obvious thing. He changes how fast you reload. Now, naturally, this brings up the question of, let's say we go over to the M37. Well, here we have 2 loaders. Well, what the game will actually do is it will average those 2 loaders, and that will determine your loading time for the tank. Alright, so that's what it's like. Hello folks, and this time we are here with a light tank. This will be the light tank tutorial. As always, the first thing you want to do is just look at the other tanks that are in the match. This screen is semi-transparent, so as you can see, I can still kind of keep track of all the other tanks that are on my screen. You know, not run into anybody, etc. So my team has decided to kind of rush up the hill. Which I wouldn't entirely recommend, but there's very few alternatives. As you can see, the other team has far more tank destroyers, and tank destroyers, especially on this kind of a map that's very prone to camping, usually spell out some pretty bad news. So as a light tank, I kind of want to keep with these other guys, the M22 Locust. I want to keep with this 38, and you know, trying to use my max speed to get places. And oh dear lord, what a novice mistake. Yes, you want to try and avoid doing that, because anytime you kill speed, you kill yourself. Light tanks are all about staying on the move constantly. And a pro tip, you don't actually have to hold W. If you double tap R, I can actually let go of W, and my left hand right now is just free dangling in the air. Meanwhile, I am still moving. So let's just take a couple pot shots at that guy. Keep in mind that we want to keep moving. So, as opposed to with like a medium or a heavy, we do not want to stop and try and aim at him. Combat should be... Basically, as a light tank, you can dictate the range of combat with your speed. And what you want to try and do is always make sure that you're engaging at a short range. Alright, because that will ensure you success. Yeah. Alright, now we can kind of park up in a bush right here and just try and take some shots at this guy right here. Now, generally as a light tank, you'll have a very weak but fast-firing gun. Usually they're none too accurate either, but you can kind of, you know, just take a couple shots here and just hope for the best. As you can see at this range, oh, balls, I've been spotted. Which means it's time to move again. As I said, movement, very important. You always want to be aware of your surroundings, even if I am not. Don't play like me. Moral of the story. Alright, so this guy right here is more of a threat to me and the team than the other man. Plus the other man is moving quite quickly and changing his direction constantly. You want to keep a slight lead on him, but when he's turning, at one point in the circle, he will be moving straight towards you, and that's when you want to take the shot. Now, this guy has some pretty heavy facial armor, so I'm going to have to wait until his side is turned towards me. Or just wait for my team to take care of it. I mean, this is not I mean, technically with a light tank, I should have been up there, you know, with the rest of the lights circling and such, but this tank in particular, the PZ-3A, has a pretty good cannon on it, which is very characteristic of German tanks. They usually all have some pretty nice cannons on them, so with them, it's more acceptable to kind of stay back and try and shoot at things. And there we go, as you can see, maximum speed, 67 kilometers per hour, which is quite fast, if you know what I mean. As you can see, I'm just cruising down this hill right now, and there's no way they can hit me when I'm going at this speed. There we go, got him. Now what I want to do is try and circle around and see if I can do anything about these other tanks on the hill. The reason I'm doing this is because A, you don't want to be moving in a straight line for too long, but B, I also want to be able to use this rock for cover. And oh, I left my auto move on. How stupid of me. Alright, so let's see, there's this turret. And this is actually a pretty fast tank as well, but I can probably get him. And he's been tracked, which means he is all mine. Well, all my team's anyways. Teammates are very good, especially in a light tank. Light tanks are not as good for soloing as mediums, or any of the above, really. Let's see. So right now I'm in a very bad position to be shooting at this guy, but I am pinned by that anti-tank in such a way that I can't actually move out until he's been distracted by my teammates. And now that his attention is diverted, I can go ahead and try and follow through with the attack and take the fight to this guy and miss, because that's what I do. There we go. Now he's gone. Aiming with light tanks is a little bit tricky just because you get a very large reticle, but on top of that you also how do I put this? You also have to compensate for how you are moving. So anyways, that was the match. Alright, now after the match you may notice there's these things that pop up all the way over here. And what these do is they give you your experience, the date and time of the battle, credits, and then it tells you how much you spent on repairs because I got shot, and how much you spent on ammunition. And as you can see here, I have both of these set to automatic. This is in the service button right here. Also, as you can see, there's a couple different guns, but I prefer this one because it is the accurate gun and has some pretty good penetration on it. I mean, the accuracy on it is kind of poor, but it does the job, let's put it that way. Alright, so right here's my crew. We've talked about those guys a little bit earlier. As you may notice, this is a pretty standard 5-man crew. There's no doubles of anyone. And that's generally how things tend to be until you get a little bit into the other types of tanks, where there'll be doubles of certain tanks and other such. Now, next thing I want to go over real quick is the depot, where you can sell modules as well as your tanks. And then there is the store where you can buy tanks. Now here you can filter. So German medium tank. The only tank I could buy is this premium Samoa S35, which costs gold. The other thing you use gold for is to get a premium account, which gives you 50% more credits and XP per battle. So for example, in that battle, if I had had premium, I would have gotten about 1500 experience. It's a pretty big difference, trust me. It really makes you go faster through the game. Other thing gold is used for is converting experience on premium tanks into free experience. And also you can use it to convert gold into 400 credits per gold. So if I wanted to convert all my 154 gold, that would be 61,000 credits. Now generally I would advise against that, unless it really is... It really, truly, and honestly is kind of a waste, let's put it that way. But, you know, you do what you want. And here, you know, you can buy tanks. As you can see, I can check unresearched vehicles, where I will see every light tank in the entire game. Pretty handy. And then I can click in Garage, which will show the vehicles I have in Garage. It's a pretty intuitive system. Now, the final thing I want to go over is module comparisons. And any one of these modules, you can right-click it, and it will bring up the details. And then you can see you have these very independent windows where you can compare things. So, for example, you see green means that I have this module mounted on this tank. And this is just the generic module comparison. So you can see this engine produces more power, but it's also heavier. However, the end result is faster speed. And this has been Light Tanks with Kamikat. Have a good one, guys.